You have actually grown, above that age, so we need to bring back that reminder. So once again, I want to welcome you to the youth session, and there's a special side event, which is on youth, agri-preneurship, aspiration, and of course, the challenges. There are a lot of things that we will be showing tonight. One of it is the exhibition stand that is outside to show certain activities and products that have come out as a result of youth engagement in agriculture and agribusiness, as the case might be. So probably at the end of these presentations and debates that we'll get to see, it would be nice that a lot of us go out to see a lot of these exhibitions that are there. They are all edible, so you could have a good taste of them, made from cassava, maize, and a host of other raw materials, of course, in agriculture. I wouldn't want to talk too much in doing that. I'd just like to read to us what we will be doing tonight within the very short time that we have. The first of all being, we will have a session for testimonies. You could just look to my immediate right and see how those are spelled out. So we'll have one session first where someone will come give a testimony, only that to be precise. And then we'll have a debate. Of course, I will also reiterate to you at the time when we need to do the debate and how the sessions will go. So without further ado, I would like to call on the first presenter for tonight. I would like to call on Onyida Ashaju to give her testimony.
A very good evening to you. I know we are all tired, but I must say it is a great honor to stand before you this evening. And I'd like to thank the African Development Bank for the support. My name is Ashaju Indamola, and I am a youth in agribusiness. Like many other youths, after I graduated from the university, I couldn't find an ideal job. And so I took on the job of a waitress. I was learning some skills, but more than anything else, I wanted to engage in something challenging, and this job wasn't giving me that. I learned about the Youth Agri-preneur program when I had to serve drinks and food to a group of young people at a party in IITA. Now, these young people happen to be the notable IITA Youth Agri-preneurs you see in the hall today. They are my colleagues. I was able to join the group, and I've so far been trained on value addition, business development, and soft skills. I'm now able to convert farm produce into finished products. I've been opportune to represent the group at 2 agricultural summits. One in South Africa organized by the Mastercard Foundation, where I met with the CEO, Rita Roy, a woman. It was at that point that gender inclusion made more sense to me. The second was in the United States of America, organized by the University of California, and this has helped build my capacity professionally. In February this year, I was transferred alongside some colleagues to the IITA station in Onne, Rivers State. Now, Rivers is an oil-producing state, but we are taking agribusiness there, not to compete, not because it is an option, but because we must go back to the basics. In a space of 10 months, we have been able to establish demonstration plots on cassava, rice, and plantain, and we're also into the production of catfish and plantain suckers. So far, we have been able to involve 40 rural youths with our activities. And please be informed that currently we are unable to meet our market demand on cassava and catfish, which I think is a good platform for investment. We as the youths have decided to lead this agribusiness movement, not only to create job opportunities, but also to restore the strength of Nigeria as the giant of Africa, and to have Africa be the breadbasket of the world. Now, 2 years ago, I kept late nights serving drinks at a bar. Now, my late nights are about thought-provoking assignments that must result in solutions. And also tonight, I'm standing before you to speak on the course of agribusiness. Finally, you will agree with me that this agro-allied industrialization we speak about cannot materialize without the involvement of the youths, because we have the right drive and energy. So I say, and I hope you join me to say, that agribusiness is not the future, it is the now. Thank you very much for listening.
Can we give a resounding round of applause once again to Indamola? So quickly, like you said earlier, we have two debates. One of the topic, no, could you just go back? Yeah. So there are two topics. The first one saying agriculture is sector of economic opportunities for African youth. Of course, we'll have a for, and then we'll have an against. And then the second being it is better to invest in loans than grant. Again, we'll have the for, and we will have the against. So let me just say how this is going to be. First, we'll have each debater come for 3 minutes to present their case without directly confronting one another. And then after that, we'll have them again come side by side, where we will have 3 questions, entertain 3 questions from you, the audience. And then those questions are specific for them to debate, not to contribute to the debate, but those questions are intended to make them actually have more confrontation as they debate on the same subject matter. I hope it's well understood. So if you stand up and you give a comment or you give a side of a view, we would quietly and peacefully just tell you, no, you have to give a question. So it's a question meant for them to debate. And so we'll go in that manner, and afterwards we'll have 3 questions, and then we'll go. So before we start, it is also good that we also prep us to know how we're going to vote, because at the end of the day, we must find out who the winner is. So I know on your seats, you'll have these 2 cards. Can you just show me if you have them? Okay, so we're going to do something very soon. The yellow basically is for. So for any debater speaking for any of the motions here, if you go for, then you raise the yellow, and if you go against, you raise the pink booklet. I hope that is well understood. For is the yellow, and then against is the pink. So to ensure that we are in school and then we are learning what the lecturer is saying, if you permit me to be the lecturer for tonight, we would like to do a little bit of test so that we know how best we are doing in school. So I'm going to read one of the motions and then ask us to say for or against. So I'm going to start with motion 1. And it says, agriculture is sector of economic opportunity for African youth. If you are for, we'll need you to raise the yellow, and if you are against, we'll need you to raise the pink. So can we, no, we need to come down first. We'll give you a signal, and then you'll start. No, all hands down, all votes invalid at the moment. So I don't know, fortunately we're supposed to come with a bell, but no bell, but we'll try and do a clap. Voting starts. Okay. So I'd like to, at this point, all hands please keep your voting cards still up. I would like to call on Dr. Chiji to just help us look out and see who the winner is at the moment. The fours have it. Okay, so Dr. Chiji has said the fours have it. So I think we did a very wonderful exercise. So without much further ado, we'll go straight into the debate. And we want you to please listen with rapt attention, and then we'll ask questions randomly, just 3 questions per debate session for them to also debate with, not necessarily a comment. So at this point, I'd like to welcome the first speaker, who will be speaking for, in person of Dorcas Ogunwale. You're welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, all. In the past, agriculture has suffered a number of misconceptions, especially in Africa. Tonight, I'm here to support the motion that agriculture remains the sector of economic opportunity for African youths. Unemployment as of today in Africa is about 12%. And according to the International Labour Organization, agriculture is the largest employer of labor, employing 1/3 of the global workforce. What does this really mean? It means that agriculture in the past, presently, and in future still has the ability to absorb and create the much needed employment in Africa through its various agricultural chain. And when I'm talking about the chain, I'm talking about production on and off farm. I'm talking about the cultivation, the processing, the logistics, marketing, among others. Agriculture is such a flexible sector which has ability to absorb multiple discipline and backgrounds. What do I mean by this? You don't need to study agriculture before you can engage actively in agriculture. And this will give it edge over other sectors. I'm going to give you a very practical example. Rita Kimani, she's 26 years old, from Kenya. She's the founder of Farm Drive. She studied computer science. And guess what she did with that course? She created an online platform where she now links farmers to credit facility without the necessary collateral. All they need is just the history of their farming history. With increased participation of youth in agriculture, it has a positive effect on internally generated revenue at the economic level of the nation and the continent. I'm going to go very local this time around. Just this year in Nigeria, Anambra State was able to import pumpkin leaf and bitter leaf to the tune of $5 million. $5 million from ordinary pumpkin leaf. You can imagine, we've not even talked about the stable crop, we've not even talked about the cash crop. These and many others are the opportunities embedded in agriculture. And not too far away is the forecast by the United Nations, where by 2015, the world population will be at 9 billion, while Africa will be having about 2.5 billion. And guess what? Up to now, we've not even been able to say African is food secure. Why? Because of the age group of the people practicing agriculture. And what are we talking about there? With the high gap in demand and supply of food, then there is no doubt that the youth are the right people to have in the agricultural sector. The energy are losing their strength. The youth have the energy. They have the innovative that is required to drive agriculture to what it used to be. And according to the focus of the United Nations again, they said if nothing is done about agriculture, then in 2050, we are going to need about $100 billion for food importation. Are you kidding? Against the present $35 billion. Then let me put it to you this way, that the excess $75 billion that will have been added in the next 35 years, what happens if we invest it wisely now in agriculture and make agriculture attractive and the position and be where it ought to be? Then we are going to be talking about global economic convenience and income and solving the problem of income inequality, and most importantly, solving the problem of unemployment, youthful unemployment, African youth. Thank you.
How can a sector that is full of risk and high level of uncertainty, coupled with low productivity, weak policy, and inadequate infrastructure, be a sector of economic opportunity? You will agree with me that this sector, what is going on is crystal clear, even to us and to the unborn. Yes. Presently, agricultural sector is suffering more than the endemic of Ebola. Where is agriculture? When telecommunication sector having a growth of about 30% and contributing largely to the gross domestic product, is providing us decent job. You see them riding decent car, having a good living. The comparison is so far. If agriculture is truly a sector of economic opportunity for youth, why is it so hard for African leaders to budget, to do a budget proportion that is right for agriculture? Where is our stand? If we don't get that right, we can never get this right. We are talking about youth here, and we know about the turnover in agriculture. Like youth will say, there is no time to check time. Today, out of 1.58 million Nigerian students applying for courses at tertiary institution, according to Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, only 2% of it chose agriculture. They know what they want. You don't need to cajole them, because our brain, we are so brilliant, and you know our era is computer age. We know what is going on. Out of this proportion, about 20% go for medicine, 23% go for engineering. Where is the stand of agriculture? If we say agriculture is the future, then we have to know our stand from now. Where are we? Instead of we just thinking about it, why not we do something about it? Instead of our heart beat faster, why not act a bit faster? Thank you very much.
Can we give a wonderful round once again to these wonderful debaters? So I missed this earlier on. Permit me at this point to say that each views represented here are not necessarily the views of the debaters. Like you know, it's a debate, so they are prepped to speak on even motions that they do not naturally agree with. So I want to crave your indulgence. After this session, please do not see them and hold them responsible for certain statements made. So at this point, I'll welcome both of them to come up, and then we'll ask the audience to give the question. So at this point, I'd like to first, because we have a very senior person also in the house, we'd like Dr. Chiji Ojukwu to help with the first question. First debate questions, and then we'll have the debaters speak thereof. Yes, sir.
Today we talked about agriculture being a multi-sector industry. But I hear you today talking of ICT as if ICT is not about agriculture. So tell me, how can ICT be part of agriculture and to move agriculture? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I must state it clear tonight that it's like we have lost the original manuscript of Nigerian agriculture. Because in the original manuscript, you can see there is granule pyramid. There is massive oil production, oil palm production. But the pirated copy that we have today, the funniest thing is that the part that offers this opportunity we are discussing has been deleted. But I will advise my colleagues, I can see that it's like AFDB have a lot of stock about agriculture. If peradventure, we can still find the original manuscript of agriculture, please, it will be very good to move this forward. You can kindly contact them. Now, ICT, it is true that in agricultural value chain, ICT has a role to play. But the point is that there is no enabling environment supporting productive and good policy that supports productive engagement of youth in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Waid. And I'll start from where you stop. What do you mean by enabling environment? The world is a global village. Everybody have a handphone. We are talking about marketing online with your phone. You can do that. We are talking about precision agriculture. What enabling environment do you need again? We're talking about hello tractor. You are not there, but you know what is happening. You know the kilometer your tractor has covered, and you know how much it has generated for you. And aside all of this, we are even talking about innovative financing using ICT. During my presentation, I make reference to a Kenyan lady, Rita Kimani, of how she created an online platform. And with this online platform, we are all familiar with challenges of agriculture, access to finance. She studied computer science, and she feel, what can I do to solve this problem? Or she created an online platform, and as many farmers that register under her, she has their farm history, which is presented to the financial institution, and instead of asking for the almighty collateral, land, infrastructure, with the financial history, with the cropping history, these farmers smile to the bank, collecting their loans and improving their productivity. So if you are talking about policy, yeah, policy is an aspect, but I'll tell you, with what you have, almost everybody have an Android phone. You don't have to wait till you have the almighty policy before you do something with ICT in agriculture.
Thank you very much. So we'd like to move quickly to the next question. So if you have questions in the audience, we'd just like to see your hands up. Okay, so we quickly identify the fastest fingers first. Okay, so I see the first hand at the back, so we'll pick your question and then we'll come back to you, sir. Your question, please. No statement.
My question is, could it be possible, or is it more appropriate to say agriculture is potentially a sector for the youth and not necessarily a sector as it stands now? Is there the possibility of reframing the motion? Thank you.
Is it a question or? Okay, so I would delete the last statement and just say, how do we reframe the question now? to just say, what do you feel? Basically, let me try and do a little bit of justice to the question so it looks more like a question to you. Is what other ways, oh God, I need help now to coin it out in the right.
I think
it was a question.
It was a question. It's
okay,
right.
so yes.
Well, let me go first on this. You had the first section. Well, I would say that it is a sector and it still have the potential because right now we've not even explored all the potential. And you know the amazing thing, with the fact that all the potential has not been exploited, 1/3 of the global workforce are employed in the agricultural sector, according to the International Labour Organization. So, if with the states in which agriculture is the largest employer of labor, then imagine adequate financing, adequate investment. Then we are just talking about the fact that if adequate things are put in place, agriculture can perform much better than it is and can solve the problem of economic crisis in our continent.
You agree with me that 70 to 80% of the food we eat in Africa is being produced by smallholder farmers with crude implements and human labor under the sun and under the rain, and we say farming is good. Agriculture at present is working with potential, is not yet a sector of economic opportunity for youth. We are struggling. And I must state it clear, even if we want to leverage on the youth innovativeness and their dynamism, these problems are just too enormous for the youth to tackle. Another thing is that if care is not taken, we will end up putting this youth in what we call green captivity. Thank you.
Are we to respond?
Okay.
Oh, thank you very much, Waid. You talk about potential, but which other sector can you name that has been the largest employer of labor that has employed as much as the agricultural sector have done? Other sectors of the economy may be there, but I must tell you that improvement and growth in other sectors of the economy is as a result of improvement and growth in the agricultural sector. Growth happened first in the agricultural sector and spread to the other sector of the economy. When we are talking about broad-based development and broad-based growth, what do I mean by this? When you have money, the first thing you think of is food, before you think of clothing, before you think of housing, before you think of transportation. That's to tell you how important it is. I made reference to 75% of the produce by smallholder farmers. Yes, with the horrible condition agriculture has found itself, it still have result and impact that you can make reference to. So if agriculture is invested in the way other sector is, the way the telecommunication, the way health insurance and all of this, you can imagine, just imagine how much result and multiplier effect we are going to be talking about today.
Thank you for saying that. I want to say this, or let me put it in this way, that presently, if we are talking about employment and job, the question is, what kind of job? Is this seasonal job? And what is the pay? If I have to plant cassava, I have to wait 1 year. We don't have time. I'm a youth. I want quick return. I want to ride Ferrari. Another thing is that today, in the rural environment, there is no infrastructure that will support sustainable youth engagement, not just to work there, but to stay there. So how do we want to engage them? How do we want to attract them? My dear, you still have a lot of work to do.
Thank you very much for mentioning. Thank you very much for that very important point. Decent income and decent employment. Let me change your perception and orientation a bit. I have to put it straight to you that the fact that you wear a suit and you have a tie on does not mean that you have a decent employment. Now we are talking about how much. Agriculture has proved it over and again that it is able to offer decent employment to youth in Africa. Perhaps you meet the AFDP's president's speech yesterday, and I'm going to remind you. It made reference to Noel, a youth in DRC, who from processing of cassava into Gary make $40,000 weekly. Tell me what is more decent. One of our panelists yesterday is Ada Ozakwe, a youth, and she's an agribusiness person making good money in agriculture. Which other example? Should I go on mentioning names? Now you're talking about quick cassava. That is the misperception that has taken place in agriculture. When you talk of agriculture in Africa, the first thing that comes to your mind is on-farm. But I'm pleased to announce to you that we have the value addition, we have the marketing, we have the logistics. Noel made his money, the $4,000, from adding value to cassava without waiting 1 year. There are quick win enterprises, there are seed production, there are multiplication, planting sucker multiplication, vegetable, horticulture, packaging, going to the farm, bulking, aggregation. These are activities along the various agricultural value chain, and you don't need to wait for long to achieve this. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So take the second question now from you, sir. Yes. Third and final, yes.
There are two different words here. The lady is talking about what should be. He's talking about reality. Can we build a bridge here?
Thank you very much, sir. I asked myself, and I believe I need to pose this question to the audience. When will African agriculture break even as a business? Right now, we know that they are in other side of line. The benefit is like this, and we have the cost like this. No they don't embrace each other. The point is, Africa is currently importing food worth $35 billion. Out of it, Nigeria has the largest share of $5 to $6 billion. We even go as far as importing toothpick, tomato, and the likes. But the point is, we are enriching other economy. We are exporting jobs, bringing inflation, and suffering our people. If agriculture is really a potential sector that can engage youth, then we really need to work on other components that will enable youth to be productively engaged. If you are talking about agriculture beyond farm, I must state it clear tonight that 40% of 1.5 million tons of tomato we produce in Nigeria goes into wastage because there is no storage facilities, there is no processing capacity, and there is no technical skills to convert this raw produce into final product. What are we saying? Let's talk about reality here. Don't let us make forecasts. This is not a NIMET issue. This is agriculture. And even NIMET will put element of discrepancy. In case of error, you know better than I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Waid, and thank you for that interesting question. If you listen to all the examples that have been setting since morning, they are not forecast. They are reality. I made mention of the youths and where they are operating. And I make you to understand something. Talking about the fact that agriculture is not where it ought to be, it's like insulting our old farmers who, through their sweat, are trying all their best to put food on our table, provide what we eat one way or the other. It's an insult to them. That's one. Two, every challenge in agricultural sector is a business opportunity, which is what we are talking about. The face of agriculture has changed from the on-farm to agribusiness. The effect may not be evidenced right away, but I've given you points and pointers to tell you that there are revolution. It is happening already. It is not about to happen. But the fact that you are not seeing the result at your face, because what you are used to for decades is the old-fashioned agriculture, does not mean that nothing is happening in the sector up to now. And still no. So for every challenges in agriculture, you made mention of infrastructure. Very good. All the youth can choose to come to the urban sector, but Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, they are major cities in Nigeria. But I can tell you that they cannot even produce the food that they are consuming on a daily basis. We have more youth in the cities, and we have more violence and more insecurity. Those are the things we should be thinking, how to engage these youth. So what's bad if the sector is terrible, but it's still feeding you as at now? What's bad making the sector attractive and making the rural area dwellable?
I can see you have a way of sweet talking. If you look at the picture at my right here, it's showing a typical farmer. My father used to be a farmer before his demise. I know what farming is because I spent half of my life on the farm. If you are talking about agriculture and youth, we have to go back to the basis. Grassroots mobilization. I ask myself this big question: why do we have University of Agriculture or colleges of agriculture or faculty of agriculture in our various universities? But later on, I found out that it is just a faculty for students that are intellectually displaced. And also, a faculty for special consideration, not just by the institution, also by the students after being denied admission for 2 to 3 years. The question is, if cut-off mark for medicine is 280, agriculture will be 200. What are you telling us? Don't we need billionaires to study agriculture? And that is the problem we are facing. We are training rural youth in the urban center because the training we are giving them, they are still rural. Today, I'm very happy yesterday when I heard from Professor Baskin that is talking about training. She didn't talk about training. And you want transformation. If you really want you to drive as a driver of transformation, we really need to engage them properly. Give them proper training. In agri sector today, in agriculture faculty, what we normally do is, let's assume the planting spacing is 5.5. Give them the normal training, and they'll give you what you want.
Thank you very much,
Wahid. Please, I really need to respond to this. Thank you very much, Wahid. You made mention of the cut-off mark of Faculty of Agri being lower than that of medicine and the rest. But let me inform you that it is a way of incentive to attract youth to study agriculture. Yeah. And another way, you made mention of O's. Are you not familiar with mechanization? Are you not familiar with mantis reader? I think the first problem is the perception you have. You said it, you grew up on the farm, and you stick to a method of agriculture, and you refuse to follow the technology and revolution that is happening in your environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we please give the presenters a wonderful round of applause? I think you are still colleagues, so you can shake one another. So we're going to do the vote, and then after the clap, we want to see you vote. Just for reminders, if you are voting for the motion, then we need you to raise the yellow. And if you are voting against the motion, we'll need you to vote for the pink. So you cannot vote for both. You cannot be on the fence. So we're going to start after a clap. We need everyone to raise. Dr. Chiji, thank you once again for standing. Hello, please. We have the INEC Director General speaking now. Okay. So please, can we once again, as we celebrate our speakers as they go down, can we celebrate them? Thank you so very much. Thank you to Dorcas. Thank you to Wahid. Just a reminder, they are both farmers, so don't mind what they were representing. Thank you so very much. So at this point, we'll move quickly, just because of our time, to go to the next testimony. And I'd like to call on the next person, and I'd like to call on Ibirunke Ifedayo, who would give his testimonials. Thank you very much.
Good evening, all. My name is Agri-preneurship, and I'm one of the high-tier youth agripreneur. And this evening, I'll be sharing a transformational story with you all. It is difficult to believe that I'm going to have a future that will be related to agriculture 2 years ago. And this is typical for all African literate youths, or to say, a reasonable percentage of the youth we have in Africa. In 2006, I gained admission to study agricultural science, though I'd opted in for clinical microbiology, and that was clearly spelled out in the debate. So I kept on obtaining change of course from 100 to 400 level, and it was a 5-year course. Upon graduation, then I had to serve in high tier, another agricultural institute, where I was in charge of leading casual workers to the field on a daily basis. Then on a fateful day, that was the day I realized that 6 of the 13 casual workers that had been leading to the field were masters older from different fields. So at this point, what it simply means is with the level of energy a youth has in Africa and the potential that Africa has, there is an unequivocal match between the two of them, both the energy and the potential. And this with no option, I had to join the high-tier youth agripreneur. And from experience, I can stand to tell you today that most youth we have in Africa, they see agriculture to be an option when there's no life. But from experience, agriculture is what you do to create more options to have a living. And today, I would like to tell you that between the extreme of these two youths, both the youth that do not believe in agriculture and those that believe, the difference between them is what I've passed through the high-tier youth model. And this is the series of transformation of activities that has occurred on me. The first is the mindset change. And secondly is to identify which training do these youth need. And thirdly is to attach them to enterprises, our business mentors that will continue to evaluate and monitor their business growth. And to seal it all, you have to support them at the exit phase, which is what the high-tier youth model has done to me. And today I'm a proud agricultural priest. And I would like to tell you at this point as well, that even as we are all seated here, right from yesterday to tomorrow, and we want to develop new policies and new approaches to engage youth in agriculture, I would like to advise that we don't forget the models that has been working for Africa. And I have to tell you that if Africa will feed Africa, then if you have a reason also to believe in Africa again, it is because Africa will go back to what has used to be what has been working for it, and that is agriculture. And I stand here to tell you today that I'm a testimony that with agriculture, Africa can feed itself. And with agriculture, Africa will gain the power it needs again to become that continent that all other continents will depend on. And Africa will be a solution. And that movement is from now. We have to move back to when Africa was great, and we are starting the movement from now. And I am part of the movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Agri-preneurship Fedayo, for that wonderful testimony. So we'll be moving quickly. We had a INEC official, was Dr. Chiji earlier. So I'd like to bring another official at this point, no other than Professor Ayamu. I know he's not expecting it, but he's our INEC official for this second debate. The debate topic says, it is better to invest in loans than in grant. So again, we'll remind us, the yellow stands for and then the pink stands for against. So we'll do a pre-voting again so that our INEC official can be well abreast with the process of this voting. Oh, we need to stop, and then I think some of us are not here, so we need to do it again. A reminder of the topic: it is better to invest in loans than grant. So if you are for, we need you to raise the yellow, and if you are against, we need you to raise the pink. So after the clap, we'll need you to vote. Prof, we'll need you to come forward to view and then give us your verdict. No, Prof is not permitted to vote. So the pink have it, Prof? Against. Okay, against. Okay, well, we will see whether that will change at the end of the day. So permit me at this point to welcome 2 debaters, Tosin and Tolu, who will be speaking for and against respectively. So at this point, I'd like to exit and allow her start her presentation, and then Tolu would also take over. So welcome Tosi as she comes to start.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so my topic basically says it is better to invest in loans than grants. I won't say it again. It is better to invest in loans than grants. I don't think there's anybody in this room that wants to invest without getting a return. And we all know that when we talk about grants, it basically has no return. So the topic alone has settled it, that you are supposed to invest in loans. But because when you invest in loan, you don't just get the capital, you also get an interest on after getting your capital. So that basically solves the issue. But I'm still going to reiterate it and let us know why I think it's better to invest in loans than in grants. 100 countries of the world have been beneficiaries of loans in the past 5 years. And what that has resulted in is the fact that their GDP and their budget have been stagnant for that 5 years. Why? What that basically implies is that countries that have become dependent on grants become less involved in domestic revenue generation. When you start getting money, we all know what happens to you when someone feeds you every day. You become less conscious of what you can do for yourself. And that is what grants does to any country economy. Bringing it down to business now. In the year 2010, there was a survey that was carried out by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and it basically and emphatically stated that if the rates of the loan that is taken by businesses in Nigeria and Africa as a whole is doubled, what that is going to translate to is the fact that the domestic revenue of the country called Nigeria, my country, is going to double, is going to increase rather by 10%. Imagine what that is going to do to our country. Imagine what that is going to do to the economy. If small, medium enterprises begin to experience income that's increased by 10% yearly. Coming down to another thing that I'm going to say is the fact that loan, it doesn't just empower you or give you access to do your business better or to do the business of your dream. It also gives you a drive. The fact that you have to return this money with interest is a constant reminder that you have to make it in the business. It's a constant reminder that you must not squander your money. In the case of grants, I get grants. What they are telling me to do is probably build a road. I know that I can find my way around it. And in that, what that basically means that loans provide efficient and effective results in business, in nation's economy, and in everything that the loan is taken from. And in the case of grants are not accompanied. They are not accompanied with policies that make sure that they are measured and effective results are yielded. At this point, I'm going to rest and allow my colleague bring whatever I want to bring to the table. Then we argue it. Thank you.
Good evening. Honestly, I didn't get a thing what she said. I'm against the motion. It is better to invest in loans than in grants. Youths are Africa's greatest asset. And unemployment, according to the International Labour Organization, hovers around 12% in Africa. But unemployment can drastically reduce if we provide youths with incentives to start up businesses. Now let's take agriculture for example. Though agriculture is highly risky, it's very, very risky. Talk about the pests and diseases, flood, fire, climate change, and so on. But if we don't support youths with grants in agriculture, then unemployment can never reduce. For there to be a meaningful integration between youths and agriculture, there has to be an attraction. There has to be an encouragement. There has to be an enticement. And that is what I call a grant. A no payback grant. Yes. Youths. There are 1.8 million youths who enter the labor market, according to NBC, on a yearly basis. with no hope for jobs. But we know that agriculture is the only sector that can employ these youths and provide a means of livelihood for them. So if we don't support youths with grants, then unemployment can never reduce. Grants can also lead to quick startup. According to Small Business Administration, 5% of businesses in Nigeria are successful with loan. Only 5% of businesses are successful with loan in the first 5 years. That means 95% of businesses that invest with loans fail. That means 9 out of 10 businesses that invest with loan fails. Why? That is because the business they cannot repay back their loans. Because they are always scared, like, oh, I have to pay back. Oh, the bank. If you don't pay back your loan, your collateral is gone. But grants can allow for youths. Because youths are innovative. Youths want to explore. Youths can start up quick businesses. Youths can make mistakes, but they'll also learn from those mistakes. But we know that with loans, you cannot make mistake. If you do, either jail or you lose your collateral. I can go on and on, but I'll end by asking this question. What do you think will happen to the owner of this business? He invested in this business with a loan. I would like for you to really, really think about this. Please, think about this. So I would say, it is better to invest in grants than in loans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite the speakers to come up now. And again, 3 questions. And again, we would permit Dr. Chiji to start with the first question.
Do you think Dangote would have been the richest man in Africa if he had not borrowed loans?
Okay.
Did he do that on grants?
Thank you very much for that question. Like you said, Dangote is the richest man in Africa. Who would not like to borrow Dangote money? Because I know even if he fails in the business, he will repay back his loan because he's the richest man in Africa. But youths who do not have collateral, Dr. Chijojuku said yesterday, there are 48.5 million people living in sub-Saharan Africa, living under $1.2 a day. These are the kind of people who need to engage themselves in some businesses. These are the kind of people who can make Africa forget poverty. But if they go to the bank and ask for a loan, do you think the bank will give them loans? If Dangote comes to me today and asks me for 50 million naira that me myself don't have, I will tell him I will borrow you that money. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to tell Mr. Toluye that Dangote started his business with a loan. He did not just become Dangote and then start looking for loan. He started his business with a loan. Then another thing that you said, I would really like to clear something. You said during your presentation that 5% of people that start the business with their loan succeed. Where did you get that quotation from? Where did you get that statistics from? Because I'm going to tell you that is very wrong. Loan in the other way, it gives you the liberty to exercise your creativity. Do you also know that when you get a grant and you don't execute what the grant is for, you have to pay back? Do you know that? Then what happens to the person? In the place of a loan, there are different measures that have been laid out. There's an agreement. There is an agreement about how you are going to pay back. And nobody is going to be asking you to pay the whole money at once if anything goes wrong.
Now, let me ask you a question. What if the loan goes bad? What do you
If
do?
the loans go back, I'm sure that there are always measures, risk
The
management
only measure
measures.
is jail, madam.
That is not true. That is
The
not
only
true.
measure
I would
is
like you
using
to
your
use your
collateral,
Google, sir.
madam.
I would like you to use your Google.
only
And
measure
you will see
is
that
you
in Google, there are
forgoing
various
your
measures that are
lines.
put there for risk management. There are various measures that have been laid out for risk management in the case of loans. I am still going to go back to what I said. When you take grants and you are not able to execute what is meant to do, you return the money. And in the case of grants, I would like you to know that when you do a project in agreement and you get grants for it, none of the things that is achieved during that project is yours. That is why grants can never be used for business. We all say something as Nigerians that nothing good comes easy. Grant comes too easy. And that is why nobody that has grants starts a business with grants to take it serious. Do you think if Dangote has started his business with grants, he's going to become Dangote? No. He would have known that this money, even if I decide to go and buy Ferrari, instead of buying land to plant, nobody will hold me. But the fact that you have to submit a business plan, you have to reach an agreement, and you have to draw a timeline before you are able to access the loan, it keeps you on track.
Thank you. Now, Dangote was 21 years old when he borrowed money from his uncle. Uncle. Not a bank. So if you look at that, that is basically like
Mr. Tolu, I don't think there's anywhere in my
that's
arguments where
basically
I've
like
said
a
you
grant.
cannot borrow money for your uncle.
Because if Dangote had lost that money, of course his uncle cannot throw him in jail like, oh, you must repay, give me back my money. And you said, where did I get my facts from? That 5% of businesses that invest in loan succeed in the first 5 years. Do you know what Google is, madam? Google is a search engine, thank you. Small Business Administration in Nigeria, 2014.
I'd like to go to the
5%.
second question, please.
And it is also that Google that made me to understand that if you double the rates of loan acceptance in Africa, our income is going to increase by 10%. So we are both using Google.
Thank you very much. We're going to the next question now. Please, questions from the audience. We just have 2 more. Fastest finger first. So the first hand we see would be the first question we pick. Okay.
Okay, my challenge with the youth now, we're talking about youth, sorry. So my question to you is, what percentage of the youth use either the loan or the grant to buy official cars first before the core business?
Sorry,
I said, which percentage of the youth, presently as it is today, when they get the grant or the loan, which percentage of them factor the business first before the official car? And how does that apply to what we're talking about now?
Let me just answer your question, sir. In the case of grants, it's about 95% of youth that will buy cars first because it's grants, and nobody is going to hold them, especially when it has to be a business. But in the case of loan, you cannot, I will not, especially if you know that you want to take your business to a greater height and go and buy a car for. It is not possible because there's one thing that you have to do when you're applying for a loan. You have to emphatically state a timeline. And there are measures, there are always measures, there are measures that have to checkmate the way you execute any money that you, especially when it's a loan. So those timelines has to be met. And that is why you get a loan and you cannot go and buy a car first. You can only buy a car if it's necessary to carry out your business.
Thank you. It seems my opponent does not know what grants mean. Because the way she's explaining it, it's like you just give grants and you go. Organizations just give you grants and go. Government just give you grants and forget about. No. They give you grants and follow up. Okay? No payback grants. Okay. What doesn't mean that they'll just give you and forget about it.
All right, sir.
Okay,
I would like to tell you, sir, Mr. Tolu, that IMF, we all know that the International Monetary Fund, they give out to countries alone. And there's a study that IMF carried out in 2004. And what they basically understood and they discovered with the fact that they gave grants only to country is the fact that every country that they gave out grant to in the year 2004, the rate of corruption increased. What that basically means that grants can be maneuvered. What checkmating are you saying when there is no measures to monitor the way they are going to pay back? Grants can be maneuvered and it's only going to increase corruption, especially when it's given out to countries. Loan in the other way cannot be, especially when you have especially when you have 15% crying at the back of your head that you have to pay back. So it is not possible. Mr. Tolu, there's another thing that is called credibility in business. In loans, when you get a loan and you are credible enough to pay on time, it is very easy for you to access another loan. But we know that there's a 0 chance that you get grants for a business and go back to get grants for that same business. It's not possible. That is why I will continue to say that it is better, my brethren, to invest in loan and never in grants.
Now, according to a study by Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, 60% of youths were optimistic that there are good business opportunities and they have the right skills to carry out these businesses. But in sub-Saharan Africa, 48.5% of people live under $1.25 a day. Youths do not have collateral. They do not have collateral to go to the bank and ask for a loan. Youths obviously want to engage in agribusiness or in businesses, but they know that if they walk up to a bank, the bank will say no. So that is why it is better to invest in grants than in loans.
Mr. Tolu, I don't know if growing up you know something that is called cooperative society. I know my mother used to be in one. In the cooperative society, all you need is a guarantor. You cannot tell me that you want to borrow money in your cooperative society and you will not be able to get a guarantor. You cannot keep youth of this age. We are very spontaneous and we are creative. You cannot tell me that the fact that you don't have a character will not make you borrow money. You have to go through your options and be sure that you have exceeded all of the options before you tell me that you cannot get a loan when you just need a guarantor to get loan in
For example,
cooperative society.
let's say a youth want to go into agribusiness and he goes to a cooperative society and tell them that, I want to go into tomato production.
Sorry, so let me correct you. In cooperative society, they don't ask what you want to use money for.
I know. You think they will give you the money to start up that business? We all know what happened to tomato in Nigeria a few months back. Agriculture is very, very risky. Talk about pests and diseases, flood, fire, climate change, and others. Which cooperative society want to give you money to start up tomato when they knew what happened to tomato a few months back in Nigeria?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Please, can we appreciate the debaters at this point? Thank you very much for your views. Yes, you can have your seat. Once again, I'd like to remind you, those views were not necessarily the views of the debaters. They were more or less motions they had to stand for and against. So please respect that in the debate and not coerce them after this meeting. So again, I would like to call on the INEC chairman, if you permit me, at this point, Professor Ayan, and then we'll do the debate. So a reminder, if you're voting for the motion that says it is better to invest in loans than grants, we need you to show the yellow. And if you're voting against the motion that says it is better to invest in loans than grants, we'll need you to show the pink. To invest in grants. If you're against the motion, that's why I use the word against first before reading the sentence. So we're going to have now, after the clap. The loans have it. So I think there was a change of tide. So thank you very much. Thank you to Tosi. And of course, thank you to Tolu. I think it was indeed a session and an eye-opener, particularly to even us hearing this for the very first time. But I think these are topics that would always, at every point in time, bring about, this question of, is it right, is it wrong, is it the best, or is it not the best? But I think a mix of both in most of these cases are important to ensure that we can move forward here. So I'd like to move to the next segment. Since we are rushing and going quickly because of our time, I would like to call on Messi Wakawa, who will give our experience of how the agripreneur movement have changed her. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Messi Haruna Wakawa. I'm from Borno State. I studied food science and technology from University of Maiduguri. like every other Nigerian youth, full of dream, aspiration, and enthusiasm for a working career and livelihood. The dream was cut short due to the large scale of unemployment in the country. After so many trials, to be precise, in 2014, I participated in the massive recruitment exercise for immigration. I was disqualified because of my height. Almost at the point of giving up, I was given an opportunity to participate in a training under the IITA End to Africa Borno project. I enlisted just to be part of anything at the moment, without any hope that something meaningful is coming out of it. The training was facilitated by IITA Youth Agri-preneurs. So the training was indeed a mind-changing training. I was cancelled upon based on my background. So I decided to go into the post-harvest processing of groundnut. I was given an opportunity to go for an internship training in an oil mill. I was given a starter capital in form of machinery and a working capital. Today, I've been able to set up my own business. I have an oil cottage mill of my dream. The business, which practically took off in January this year, has been able to employ youth from the host community, and it has been able to create downstream employment for household women in the host community. The business is duly registered by the regulatory agencies, which today has made me to be the CEO, Confianza Global Resources. And the oil with the brand name Confiado. Confiado is a Spanish word which means confidence and trust. It is indeed an oil. You can have confidence in it and you can trust. Today, I want you to all know that I don't want to stay at this level, but I have planned to scale up the business with other support. I want to diversify into other agri-businesses. And I want you all to know that women are good entrepreneurs if they are properly mobilized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mercy. And finally, we'll have in testimonial Zacchaeus to give his side of the story. Thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Good evening, everyone. The atmosphere should be more exciting because we have a story we are excited to share. So I really want a very, very exciting response. Good evening, everyone. Good. My name is Zacchaeus, so I'm standing here as a living testimonial to the transformation potential of agribusiness. Like every other Nigerian graduate, my own case was not different. Well, we know that after graduation, the first meal you are served with is the meal of unemployment, with its economic consequences thereof. But today, I want to tell you that the story has changed. Seated with us is a youth group that have embraced the confidence to pick up the pen of agribusiness to rewrite the story of Africa on the canvas of history. Ladies and gentlemen, may I say that we all are aware of the statistic that Africa has the highest youth population. But we all are testimonies to the fact that this population, instead of generating pride and development, over the times have been so vulnerable, how that the youths are easily mobilized and recruited into insurgency that has caused no progress to the continent, rather than massive loss of lives and properties. The youth agripreneurs I present to you today have been transformed into pathfinders, and today we are champions. We want to spearhead the cause of Africa, feeding Africa through agribusiness. Of course, we know that the pest of unemployment, hunger, and food insecurity in Africa has humbled this continent and has presented Africa as a juvenile in the economic pond. We have actually taken this as an insult to the continent and also an enemy. Therefore, we, the IITA Youth Agripreneurs, have put on our cap of passion for agribusiness. We are kitted with training across the agricultural value chain, supported with mechanization, ICT, and also other technological support. Therefore, we believe we are ready to contend with this enemy and win the victory as champions that we are. I would like to say at this point in time, we are not ignorant of the fact that we have large populations of the youth that are yet to come to consonance with the fact that agriculture is the only potential salvation way out of this problem we are facing. With no better difference, we have saddled ourselves with the responsibility of being missionaries of the gospel of farming is cool. We are willing to take this gospel to villages, towns, and cities in Nigeria and Africa at large because we believe together we constitute a formidable force. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not discouraged. We cannot be confused. As I'm talking to you now, we have made up our minds. Because we are testimonies to the fact that without full exposure to agriculture, youth can be actively engaged in the sector. Indeed, we are a team with gender equity. We are poised to give agriculture a new outlook by exploring its business potential to create jobs and to ensure food sustainability and security. To cap it up, I will say today that a new set of recruitment of anti-insurgency group has commenced, and the IHA youth agripreneurs are willing to take agriculture to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zacchaeus. You would agree with me that passion was really moving while he was speaking. But let me sell him a little bit by saying he was an SUG president during his time as an undergraduate. So you can understand where he's coming from. The passion is really there, and I think he's doing a very good job in moving agriculture forward. So at this point, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to say a very big thank you to you. I know it's been a very long day, and it took really love for us for you to be seated here up till this time at the moment. So I want to say thank you. We appreciate your very fatherly, motherly, and parentally, elderly, all manner of the least, for staying and supporting us thus far. We're not stopping here. We still have many more things to show you. Outside, like I said earlier, we still have our exhibition stand, and we want you to visit. We want you to even taste some of those products and possibly give us a feedback on how to better improve some of these products. Like I said, most of them come from cassava, raw materials, maize, soybean, and a host of others that we have used. So we say thank you once again for having us and for sitting with us this 1 hour. We hope to host you again many more times. And please, you can have a very good dinner with our little snack that we have in our exhibition stand. Thank you very much, and God bless you. So please, can all debater and testimony or testimonial givers, can they all come out for a group photo, please? All debaters and testimonials. Every youth agripreneur on the green t-shirt, can you please come out for a group photo?